I'm Amy Lacey. We are so excited to be here. The crowd is already gathering. This is the third year that we have been here for the Grand Illumination, and I have a feeling it's going to be the best year yet.
Today, students met with Virginia's Secretary of Public Safety along with other police agencies. It was supposed to be an open dialogue, but many students say they felt shut out. Our 8 News reporter Kristen Smith is live in Charlottesville now with those details. Kristen? We do want to interrupt the chew to bring you now some breaking news. Richmond police holding a news conference where they are expected to release new information about yesterday's shootout that led an officer shot and a suspect dead here on West Carey Street. We do want to go to that news conference now live. We expect to be hearing now from Chief Alfred Durham.
That's trust. We're going to meet with her.
And you've been listening to Richmond Police Chief Alfred Durham releasing new information about that investigation into what happened, saying very adamantly that he wants to dispel rumors that this was not a racially charged shooting yesterday that happened at Carey and Meadow. He also did release the name of the suspect, confirming that it was 20-year-old Kayshawn Hargrove who was shot by police. We are told that officers were dispatched to that scene. They had learned that there had been a person who was armed with a gun in the area. When they got there, Mr. Hargrove, according to Chief Durham, fled, fired shots at the officer, and they then returned fire. 2 officers were involved in this. Their names are Officer Ryan Bailey, who he said was an African-American officer with the force for 9 years, and Jason Dubord, who he said was a white officer with the force for 8 years, though saying again this was not a racially charged incident, saying, quote, this was not Ferguson, this isn't South Charleston. So he wanted to dispel the rumors that anything of that matter happened out there yesterday. He said that they used force not to kill but to eliminate the threat, and that threat, he said, was that Mr. Hargrove fired shots at the officers. This is a story we will continue to follow throughout the day. Stay with 8 News for continuing coverage here online, on air, and on WRIC.com. This, of course, has been a developing situation since the 2 o'clock hour Eastern today. And again, looking at all of the police activity there on the scene, at least 14 dead, 14 others injured, some of them seriously in that mass shooting earlier today at the Inland Regional Center. There has been a lot of conversation now about, was this any kind of terrorist activity? Was this a domestic extremist group? Police in that area at this point saying they do not know, but of course that is something they are looking into.
Just in tonight, Goochland County rattled by an early morning earthquake.
Yeah, in our newsroom, we took several calls from folks in Goochland who thought that they'd experienced thunder snow, but it wasn't that. We can confirm what you felt was an earthquake.
And we this morning asked you, our 8 News viewers, to help name it. Your choices were Olaf, Frost, Peter, as in Petersburg, where the snowman lives, and John Bernier. The overwhelming winner with 40% of the vote, John Bernier. It would have been my choice, hands down.
That's definitely my choice, too.
It's clever.
And John says that he's never had a snowman named after him, so this is a very special day here in Central Virginia.
JB.
It's time now to reveal our special keyword of the day. You probably got one for Christmas, but now Disney World is cracking down on guests who use those selfie sticks that you love so much on rides at the park. A Disney spokesperson says guests can bring them on the rides, but then they must be securely stored. One ride, Thunder Mountain, has had a number of incidents in which the ride had to be stopped because of selfie stick use. And I wonder if there have ever been any news anchors who've used them and gotten in trouble.
No roller coasters.
Yeah,
let's take a picture. No roller coasters with this thing. Is that working? I don't even see this.
I don't even know that it's working. It's probably user error.
All right, look, we're going to take a selfie.
Not very good at it, but we know that you're good at taking photos with selfie sticks. Send them to us. I report 8 at WRIC.com. A lot of things going on throughout the summer.
Right.
So people are going to be using their selfie
We'll
sticks.
snap a couple of shots here and put them on Facebook and Twitter for you, too.
It's fun.
All right.
We're back with the health alert now. Nearly everyone says they don't get enough sleep, but how much is actually enough? That might just depend on your age. New recommendations from the National Sleep Foundation say as you get older, the amount of sleep you need decreases. Newborns need 14 to 17 hours, but older adults can get by with as few as 7. Less than that, though, and you could be setting yourself up for some health problems. Excuse me.
Are you okay?
I am okay. A little choked up. But if you didn't get enough sleep, how about some free coffee? Chick-fil-A is offering a free cup of Joe to customers this month. The restaurant is offering the promotion all day long during February 1. I'm choked up again. It's limited to 1 cup per customer per visit.
I hope this is not because of a lack of sleep.
It's not.
If you're gonna...
It begins at just around 7 o'clock, and it is on rain or shine. We want to head on over to 8 News reporter Jonathan Costin. He's live in Churchill right now. Jonathan, what are you seeing?
Well, just moments ago.
We're back now with our special report on gender. Following Bruce Jenner's announcement, so many people are talking about being transgender, including here in Richmond. Here's one local young man's story.
The oil that is dripping, mean this is a crime.
This project has been a lifetime in the making for Dan Oster.
Record myself now, and I'm going to compare it to when I've been on T for several months.
T is testosterone, the hormone the 18-year-old will begin taking in just a few weeks.
On May 26th. And I'm really excited about that because it's like it's been an 18-year wait.
Dan was born Danielle and is known he was meant to be a male since childhood.
Other kids would draw themselves like as the princess or whatever, and like I drew myself as the prince.
Dan kept it inside for years. In middle school, finally mentioning his gender struggles to counselors. But it wasn't until age 16 that the Hanover High School student knew it was time to talk. Really talk with his family.
I would run home after school. I would go upstairs, like put on a huge sweatshirt and like put on a hat and put like my long hair under it and just like go about my day and like take pictures of myself and like try to convince myself that everything was okay. But then I realized like my parents were going to realize what was happening. When I did come out, it did take them like that year or two to kind of be like, okay, this is how it's going to stay. This isn't some phase or anything.
I was quite blindsided by it.
Mom Christina says she had no clue, and it took time and counseling for her family, including Dan, to get to where they are now. Acceptance.
It does feel like the death of someone for a while, till you realize it's not. It's the same human being, just with a different pronoun. Transgender, you look in the dictionary 20 years ago, there was nothing. It was a disease, a sickness. And now those, definitions have changed so much.
I was married 4 times, thinking that I'd find the right woman that could fix me. Well, the only way to fix is to accept yourself and to live as who you were supposed to be born as.
Carrie Abrams understands the Oster's pain, all of it. As a boy in the mid-1950s, Carrie says there wasn't even a word to describe her transgender identity.
Kept it hidden, and I hid it all my life.
Carrie hit an especially low point 5 years ago at age 55.
I had to make a decision in life. It was either commit suicide or do what I knew I had needed to do for most of my life.
Carrie, who's worked as a motorcycle technician for decades, came out to family and friends as a trans woman. Now through local support groups, she helps young people.
If one person gets anything out of it, then I'll do whatever I have to do.
Being accepting is the most important part. It hurts, but I try to stay strong to help him, and I just want to help him.
His family is a fierce support system as Dan balances high school, 2 jobs to save up for surgeries, and daily challenges.
It's everything from bullying to just not wanting to use a credit card because my birth name's on it.
There are reminders of who he was, but also excitement for who he's become.
You're very brave. Yes, we're very proud of him. Very proud of him.
This summer, Dan will leave for college. It will be the early days of his medical transition. And this project will be in full force. With every word he records, Dan will capture the greatest change he's making in his life. And he has this to say to anyone who questions if he's really ready.
How long have you been sure of who you are?
Now, the American Psychological Association says it is so important that families offer support to children and teens with gender struggles. Feelings of isolation or being forced to wear certain clothing or act a certain way can lead to depression or suicide. The APA recommends educating yourself about the issue. Use names and pronouns that go along with their gender identity and talk with a mental health professional. As the Osters learned, a gender transition does not just affect the people going through it. It affects everyone close to them. Now, we've learned Matthew is due in court next week. Joining us in the newsroom now for more insight on this case, legal analyst Russ Stone.
Russ, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Amy.
Okay, let's begin with this. Why did it take so long for this murder charge to come down? The abduction with intent to defile charge was placed long ago.
Well, it was placed in Charlottesville, and to tie it to the person that they have now charged, Jesse Matthews.
And we do want to touch upon this too, Russ. The Commonwealth's attorney chose not to charge Matthew with capital murder. Any thoughts you can provide on that?
Well, what I'd hope everybody would remember is that...
Legal analyst Russ Stone, we thank you so much for coming in this evening.
Thank you for being here. All righty. Be sure to stay with 8 News. You're watching 8 News at 5:30. We're covering the news where you live.
And I'm covering the news right now as I sit down next to Juan from Ashland to Goochland. Ashland, Goochland, that would be a hybrid. Gashland. Don't go away. 8 News at 5:30 is back in just a moment.